University of Mindanao. Good day. I am Benjamin Fantanalgo, your host for today's discussion, and we have our speakers, Rafi de la Vega, Paul Gaita, and Rere Dongila. We will bring you the topic about process analysis. Well, many of us have experienced being exhausted or burdened when we are transacting from various offices or even ordering in a restaurant or a fast food chain. In this discussion, we will emphasize how important process analysis in managing operations to increase its efficiency and effectiveness. To give us the view of what process analysis is, Rafi will tell us more.
Good morning, everyone. I am going to discuss the process analysis. So, an operation is composed of processes. It is designed to add value by transforming inputs into useful outputs. The inputs can be materials, labor, energy, or capital equipment, while outputs can be physical products or services. Now, processes can have a significant impact on the performance of businesses, and process improvement can improve a firm's competitiveness. So, process analysis. It is the rational breakdown of the production process. It shows the different phases that turns inputs into outputs. Also, it is the review of the entire process flow of an organization. It is by reviewing the components of a process, including inputs, outputs, technologies, and procedures to produce results. And process analysis is also by understanding the business processes. It is helpful to set up targets for the purpose of process improvement, which is possible by eliminating unnecessary activities and increase efficiency. So, by analyzing the processes, it will end up by improving overall performance of the processes and, of course, the business. There are terms in the process analysis. The process. It is any part of an organization that takes inputs and transform them into outputs. Another is the cycle time. It is the average successive time between completion of successive units. And last is utilization. It is the ratio of the time that a resource is actually activated relative to the time that it is available for use. To know more about the process analysis, we will tackle the three basic types of processes: the basic flow charting processes and how to calculate process performance measures. So by the end of the discussion, we should be able to answer questions such as how long will it take to serve a customer? How many customers can a process handle in a specific given time? What change is needed in a process to expand capacity? And how much does the process cost? So to introduce us to three basic types of processes, we have here Sir Paul.
Thank you, Sir Rafi. Well, many establishments had utilized different ways to make processes even more convenient. Sir Paul will give us the three basic types of process analysis.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, good day to everyone. As Sir Rafi already discussed to you the concept of process analysis, let me now discuss to you the three kinds of processes: the serial flow process, the parallel process, and the logistics process. There are many ways for the operations manager on how to design the process of the business. But the processes of the business will really differ from each other. First, it's because the objectives of the business is different from the objectives of the other business. Second, the activities that must be done on the business is also different from the activities of the different businesses. Let me discuss to you first the serial flow process. In a system with a serial process design, activities occur one after the other. no activities occur simultaneously. This kind of process, there is no overlapping activities. The process must be done in a step-by-step basis. You must not proceed to the other activity without finishing or completing the previous one. Now, let me give to you a simple example just to emphasize on how this process works. This kind of process is the simplest or the basic process design for a business. Now, as you can see in the example, let us assume that the triangle is the input of the business. Now, this input of the business will really undergo in a step-by-step basis. First, in the operation 1, second is the operation 2, and the last, of course, the operation 3. As you can see in the example, the inputs is undergoing in a step-by-step basis. But although this kind of process is basic or is the basic or the simplest way, it is also requires a lot of time, and with that it might hinder you to cater more customers or um, or to produce a lot of outputs. That is why you really have to have a good manager or a good operations manager in order for him or her to scrutinize or analyze the operations of the business, in order for him or her to see in what operation or in what activity that might be done in simultaneous way. This is where the um, parallel process comes in. It where the operations is done simultaneously. As you can observe in the example, the flow time of creating one output is 2 days. 1 day in the operation 1, and half a day in operation 2, and also half a day in operation 3. Now, we can consider the operation 1 as the bottleneck or the operation where the activity might be delayed, and we can focus in that bottleneck so that we can improve the flow time of the business. This is where the parallel process really needed. Now let us discuss the parallel process. A parallel process, a term that indicates operations perform their functions at the same time, can either reduce flow time or increase capacity, depending on whether the parallel operations perform different functions or unlike operations, or perform the same function or on different parts or like operation. Now, as I have said earlier, parallel process is doing the activities in a simultaneous basis. Now, there are two ways that we can implement the parallel process. If you want to focus on reducing the required time on producing the output, then we are going to use the unlike operations. Or if you want to focus on improving the capacity or improving the capacity of the operations, then we can use the like operations. First, let us discuss the unlike operations. Now, the unlike operations, it reduces time, but the capacity but the capacity of the operation will not be affected. It will remain the same. As you can observe in the example, there are two operations that is being done simultaneously, which are the operation 1 and the operation 2. But and with that, we can really see that in this example, we really reduce the required flow of time, but still the capacity is not affected. As you can observe, the operation 1 or the operation 1 can only have the capacity of 1 per day. So we can consider it as the bottleneck of the operation or the activity that might delay the operation. Since the operation 1 have the capacity of 1, we can still have the capacity of 1 per day. So the the time is reduced, but of the capacity of the system is still unchanged. As we can observe also, the the flow time of operation to must require 2 days. But since we do it simultaneously, it reduces to 1.5 days. Why? It's because uh, since operation 1 can produce 1 per day, and operation 2 can produce 2 per day. So that only requires half of a time a day. So that is why we reduces the flow of time from 2 days to 1.5. With this, we can say that it is efficient and effective to do this kind of system, since we can cater more customers in this design. So let us now go to the um, like operations. So in the like operations, I've said earlier, the main focus is the capacity. So the capacity here is increased, but the time is not affected. So we can observe that the like and the unlike operations has an inverse system or design. So as we can as when we consider the as we can consider the example, the operation 1 is the bottleneck of the entire process, which will really um, delay the entire process. So the main focus of these like operations is to improve the productivity of the bottleneck. So since the operation is the bottleneck, we can incorporate more resources in that operations. It's either buying more machine for that operation, or having more human resources in that operations. The very basic example of this setup is in the restaurant. The one of the operation in the restaurant is taking orders from the customers. So if you have only one human resource or computer that is taking orders, that will really delay the operations of the entire process. But if we can buy more computers and have more human resource, then that will improve the productivity, and that will not cause a a delay for the entire process. But as you can observe also in the previous example, which is the unlike operations, where we really reduce the required flow of time, which is from 2 days to 1.5 days, it's because we do the operation 1 and the operation 2 in simultaneous basis. But in here, the main focus is to improve the bottleneck, which is the operation 1. So that is why they require flow of time in the entire process before we can proceed to the operation. They remains the same, which is 2 days. But overall, the impact of this kind of system will really improve the productivity of the entire process, and it will cater more customers and improve also the satisfaction of customers. Now, let us go to the last process, which is the logistics process. So, as you can observe, there are a lot of companies that are being established nowadays, and the main problem of the manufacturers or the sellers is on how to transport or distribute their products to their customers. This is where the logistics process is being designed. So let us now define the logistic process. The logistic process concerns the movement of goods through the supply chain. The Association for Operations Management defines logistics as the art of science of obtaining, producing, and distributing material and product in the proper place and in the proper quantities. So the main or the basic function of the logistic process is to transport goods or products from one destination to another, and that is the very core of the logistics process. Now, let us go to the international logistics. International logistics refers to the managing these functions when the movement is on the global stage. So there are quite a few of the company that is in an international logistics. They are the United Parcel Service, the Federal Express, and the DHL. So we can see that there are only few of them who can really do the international logistics. It's because logistics itself is quite expensive and it's not easy to handle. It's because you really need to have a good information system in order to track the product, and in order, and also to the control the transportation of the product. So the logistics company also provide additional services such as warehouse management, inventory control, and other customer functions. So warehouse management. So the logistic companies, um, from the other companies, they gather the products in the specific company and they put it in the warehouse, where that warehouse they will classify each products on where that is the on if that product is, or that specific product is ready for delivery or it needs further inspection. So now let us go to the decision related to logistics. So a key decision area is deciding how material will be transported. So this very the core function of the logistics to deliver or transport goods. But there also a problem on how will you how will you going to transport those products. So a major trade-offs related to the cost of transporting the product, the speed of delivery, and flexibility to reactions are also involved. Information systems play a major role in coordinating activities and include activities such as allocating resources, managing inventory levels, scheduling, and order tracking. So as I've said earlier, this risk process is quite um, expensive and not easy to handle. It's because really have um, to have a good information system. So as you can see in the logistic process flow, so we can easily understand the process of the logistics by easily um, seeing this flow. First, from the supplier. So from the supplier, he will deliver it to the warehouse. Where in the warehouse, the people there will inspect the product if it is ready to deliver or there are defect for the product, so it will be returned to the supplier. Third is from the warehouse to the distributor location or the service centers, and the last is to the customer. But if the customer find out that the products that's been delivered to him or her, he or she will bring it back to the distributor locations, and from the distributor location, the defective collector will now do the pre-screening, or they will double check the product if that product has a really a defect, and if that product has a really a defect, then that product will be bring to the repair center, and then the flow will be and then the cycle will again start to the supplier until that product will be delivered to its customers. So that will be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Paul. Flowcharting is a graphical representation and an important tool to improve processes. We have Sir Ray to discuss more of this.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am DG, and good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, sir. So, the topic that I will discuss this morning, or the task that are given to me, is to discuss about the process flow charting and measuring process performance. So, first, I'll discuss what is process flow charting. So, here it is. So, process flow charting, the use of a diagram to present the major elements of a process. The basic elements can include tasks or operations, flows of materials or customers, decision points, and storage areas or quiz. It is an ideal methodology by which to begin analyzing process. So a flowchart is a visual representation of the sequence of steps and decisions needed to perform a process. So we already know that an organization need an flowchart because it is the employees and the customers guide where their transaction begin and end within a day. So in process flowcharting, there are four basic flowchart symbols. Actually, there are lots of symbols, but I will just discuss the four basic flowchart symbols. So here it is. First is the oval, the rectangle, the arrows, and the diamond. So these four symbols, at the end of this discussion or after mabigay ko yung mga meanings and purpose of these symbols, meron akong example ng flowchart na makikita itong four symbols. So first, I will discuss what is the oval. So the oval and end or beginning while creating a flowchart, or we call it terminator. The oval or terminator is used to represent the start and the end of the process. Yes. So if you can see in a flowchart, the oval, it is the start and the end part of the flowchart. Next is the rectangle. So the rectangle, a step in the flowcharting process or the process. The rectangle is your go-to symbol. Once you've started flowcharting, it represents any steps in the process you're diagramming and is the workhorse of the flowchart diagram. So the purpose of process or the rectangle is to capture process steps like basic tasks or action in your process. So yung mga proseso ng transaction, naka-rectangle yun, it's because it is a process. And that is why it is called a rectangle. So next is the arrow. Indicate directional flow. So we already know that arrow is a directional flow. So the arrow is used to guide the viewer along their flowcharting path. And while there are many different types of arrow tips to choose from, we recommend sticking with one or two for your entire flowchart. So the purpose of arrows is to keep your diagram looking clean, but also allows you to emphasize certain steps in your process. So, di ba kung naka-arrow, gina-point niya ang direction asa ang next na steps or process nga imuhang adtuon. So, that is the purpose of the arrow. Then the last one is the diamond or the indicate a decision. A diamond symbolizes that a decision is required to move forward. This could be a binary, this or that choice, or a more complex decision with multiple choices. A diamond is, kumbaga sa example pa na siya is, how much change should be given to a customer, which range should be used, or etc. So kumbaga, na-ay decision nga ma-come up after the process. So if there is a decision, the diagram or the symbol that will be used for that is diamond. So much for that. So I'll show you an example about a diagram or a flowchart that shows the four symbols. Here it is. Let's example the recruitment process for ABC Corporation. So first, as you can see here, it is an oval. Oval because it is the beginning. And looking at the beyond, it is oval again because it is the end. So as I said earlier, the oval is the beginning and the end. So here, the ovals first is the recruitment requisition. So as you can see, the arrow pointing to in this section, which is selection criteria and advertise for the job and receive application for the job. So these three are the process, the first process. So that is why they are rectangle. So as you can see the arrow, after they receive the applications for the job, they will come up for a decision to categorize application into A and B. So it is a decision that they they come up. So it is a diamond. So if na-segregate nila into A and B, so you can see, process again, A for suitable for the job, B unsuitable for the job. So as you can see, unsuitable naman siya. So naana sila arrow down, which is the end part, or send thank you letter or email. So kasi nga unsuitable na siya, so di na siya makontinue. So as you can see, in that process pa lang sa recruitment requisition, selection, advertise, receive, categories. Pag abot sa B, unsuitable for the job, unsuitable naman siya, so automatic abot na siya sa end part, which is send a thank you letter. So di sila fit. While in A, suitable for the job, assess against criteria. So, nag-assess sa pud mo, decision ni siya. So, if it is yes, so interview the candidates. If it is no, send a thank you letter or email. So, if it is a yes, so come up na pud mo og decision, assess against the criteria. So, as you can see, the arrow, the process, so there are 4 symbols. So, di na kayo na pa siya i-explain further, kaya makita man. So, the oval, which is the beginning, and the end. The rectangle, which is the process, as you can read. The diamond for the decision, and the arrow for the direction. So, that's how it is. So, flowchart is very vital to the company. Why? Because each step in the sequence is noted with a diagram shape. Steps are linked by connecting lines and directional arrows. These allow anyone to view the flowchart and logically follow the process in beginning to end. So, if they have a flowchart to makita nila, so they will be guided. No need to ask, or at least kung may nakalibugan, so they will ask the employees. But if naamoy flowchart na ipakita, so automatic the customer will easily just check into the flowchart and be guided on what are the things to do within a day, to finish within a day. So also, a flowchart is a powerful business tool. Proper design and construction, it communicates the steps in the process very effectively and efficiently. Kaya kung nana kay flowchart, of course, kana pa lang daan, nag-communicate na gano'n siya. So, unsay purpose or flow sa transaction niya imong sa MUA, sa enrollment, we have a flowchart on the students. So, asa sila first, muduo, then at the end of the day, within the day, mahuman nila. So, so let's proceed to the next topic, which is the measuring process performance. So, measuring process performance. Process performance metrics, also known as KPIs, key performance indicators, measure how a process performs and reflect the accomplishment of individual goals. A process performance metrics generate data, bringing more efficiency and effectiveness to the decision-making process. So here, there are process analysis terms. I just give only 3. These 3 process analysis terms, I have an example and a computation as well. So first, I will show what is as these terms. So cycle time is the average successive time between completions of successive units. Labor productivity measures output per labor hour. The work efficiency formula is efficiency equals output divided by input. And you can multiply the result by 100 to get work efficiency as a percentage. The cycle time example. So, example, suppose you had to produce 600 units in 80 hours to meet the demand requirements of your product. What is the cycle time to meet this demand requirement? So, answer. So, first, meron kayong 600 units and 80 hours. So, 80 hours. In 1 hour, there are 60 minutes. So, you need first to multiply 60 minutes into 80 hours in order to get the amount of minutes within 80 hours. So 60 times 80 hours is equal to 4,800. Now, So the average time between completion would have been cycle time is equal to 4,800 divided by 600 units. 600 units because it is supposed you had to produce. So is equal to 8 minutes. So 8 minutes per 1 unit. So you will be guided that in order to achieve 600 units within 80 hours, each unit you have to finish it within 8 minutes. And that is the computation on how to compute cycle time. At the same time, you will also be guided on this that at least in every units that you need to produce, you have to finish it in just 8 minutes, maximum of 8 minutes. So next is the labor productivity. So the formula is total output divided by total input. So example, a company generated $80,000 worth of goods in 1,500 hours. To calculate the labor productivity, so labor productivity is equal to your output, which is 80,000, divided by 1,500 hours, your input, is equal to $53 per hour of work. So automatic, if you have already the output and input, automatic just divide it and you will get your labor productivity. So here, easily nakuha din ang iyang labor productivity, which is $53 per hour of work. Diba? So dali ra siya. Next is a company generated 80,000 worth of goods or services with 30 employees. To calculate the labor productivity, so labor productivity is equal to 80,000 divided by 30 employees. So 30 employees is the input for this second problem. So 80,000 divided by 30 employees is $2,666 per employee a week. So here, you can see that here, it is a total of output and just divide the total input. So automatic, you can get the answer. So for the labor productivity, so madali lang siya as long as meron na agad na output and input. So the last one is the efficiency, which is the most important in the company, the efficiency. So is equal to the actual output divided by standard output times 100. So example, a company's standard labor hours for a certain project is 80 and the actual amount of time worked is 92. So efficiency is equal to 80 divided by 92 times 100 because this is the formula. So your actual output is 80 and your standard output is 92. So just divide 80 divided by 92 times 100, automatic, the result is 87%. So efficiency is equal to 87%. So the purpose of this computation is measuring process performance allows an understanding of gross functional performance and the contribution of each department or unit to the end result. Organizations execute their strategic intent via their business processes. Also, in that way, they will have an effective operations without wasting time of materials. Kasi nga, kinukompute nyo kung efficient pa ba yung department, efficient pa ba yung mga employees here, okay pa ba yung ano natin. So, having the computation, you will be guided na what are the things to be add, what are the things to be deduct. So, dali lang, no? Diba? So, as long as you have the formula, you have the so you can easily compute. So, yun lang. So, that's all my topics. So, thank you for listening and back to you, Ma'am Jean. God bless.
Thank you so much, Sir Rere. Indeed, this discussion helps us understand process analysis, its importance, and how it works, and gives impact on various processes. Especially if we're connected in an organization, a more systematic and organized process flow can really make a difference. Thank you so much for listening. God bless and keep safe. This presentation is brought to you by Group 2 presenters Salamat ga!